Hello and welcome to the annual board meeting for the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh. Since we did not meet in January, our first meeting today is the annual board meeting in which we organize ourselves as we do at the beginning of each year. I would note for folks joining online, if you need ASL interpretive services, you can pin Daniel Randolph and Robin Schmidlin's videos so that you're able to see interpretive services. We'll take roll as our first order of business here. Director Connolly, let the record reflect Director Connolly is absent today, but all other four board members are present and accounted for. Moving on for public comment, I don't believe we have any registered public comment for the annual meeting. And then we will move into election of officers. I'll entertain a motion for nominations on officers.
Sure, I motion to nominate, well, essentially effectively keeping our current slate. So Cal as chair, myself as vice chair, and Lauren as treasurer.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second on the slate.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? We have officers. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our annual meeting.
So
What about your acceptance speech?
My acceptance speech. I didn't prepare.
There's a huge crowd here.
Yeah, I didn't prepare anything, Sam, but thank you for that. Appreciate the trust and confidence of my fellow board members for another year. And joking aside, truly honored to serve with you and be able to be of service to the Redevelopment Authority. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
second.
All right, we are adjourned. Now, we will move into our regular February monthly board meeting for the Urban Redevelopment Authority. Our for roll call, let the record reflect that Director Connolly is absent. Other four board members are present and accounted for. We'll move into then the approval of our board minutes from December 12th, 2024. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? The minutes are approved. Please note that the URA Board also met in executive session immediately before this meeting today. Moving on to public comment. I know we received one written public comment. Director Geiger, I don't know if there's anyone else registered.
Good afternoon, all. I am David Geiger, URA Director of Government and Strategic Affairs. Public comment registration opens at 2 p.m. on the Tuesday of the board meeting week and closes at 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Members of the public are welcome to provide comment here in person, virtually on Zoom, or by providing written public comment. All public comment provided becomes part of the meeting minutes. We received one written comment this month. The commenter, Sarah Alessio Shea, Deputy Director of PA Resources Council, provided the board with input on a URA-owned property located along River Ave. Board members should have received all written comments in their board packets. At this time, we have no registered speakers, and I believe that concludes our public comment period.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure.
Just prior to announcements, I want to add one comment. It's been well documented this week that the unfortunate closing of Salem's Market on Center Avenue. And I just want to sort of state for the record that Salem, since the very beginning, was an absolute tremendous partner for the community. I think he's a tremendous partner for the city as a whole, but he served the Hill District as well as he possibly could. And it's unfortunate that effectively income didn't meet its expenses. It's sort of what it came down to at running such a large store. And while unfortunate, it's understandable that he had to take a moment to reflect and decide that he needed to pause his services temporarily so that he can figure out how to potentially right size the store. And I just want the public to understand that from both my seat as a council person as well as my position on URA board, the URA has been in support of trying to have a grocery store there for a very long time, right? All the way going back to Shop and Save and now Salem's. And I just want the public to know and understand that we will be in a process to work with him to figure out how to potentially right size to be able to continue servicing the community. We're not walking away and we're not giving up. But I do want to thank him for what he's done so far and look forward to continue to partner with him in the near future.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah, I would just echo the thanks to Abdullah and his entire team. I also want to thank staff that have worked on this. You know, it's an incredibly difficult project. I know in terms of supporting him, what we've done, you know, with the loans and suspending payments and the like in order to support the store. And then the support that, you know, our executive director and team in commercial lending have offered him to help support rethinking what the store can become as they continue to move through and evaluate, you know, what works right to best serve the community and still meet, you know, those operating expenses that you mentioned. Stay tuned for more. You know, we're hopeful that we'll be able to work with him here with some deliberate speed, but you know, unfortunately, they did have to pause or will be pausing operations at the store beginning this weekend. So I don't know if there's anything else anyone wants to say, but with that, we'll move into announcements, of which we have quite a few this month. The first is to honor a longtime community partner that we recently lost in Skip Schwab, and I'll turn it over to our executive director, Namani Stenger.
Thank you. It's with a heavy heart that we are sharing the news of Skip Schwab's sudden passing. As many of you know, Skip worked for many years in Pittsburgh, first with the URA, then LISC, and then most recently ELDI. Skip was the deputy director of ELDI, and he was passionate about transforming East Liberty and Pittsburgh into places for all of us to live. He worked to keep affordable housing in East Liberty at places like Cornerstone, the Fairfield Apartments, and Dad's House. Skip was critical to strengthening the neighborhood, and he was a wonderful, engaged partner to the URA throughout his career. He was a very generous person, and he shared his candid thoughts on economic growth. Those of you who knew him know that he has left a legacy filled with humor, joy, and dedication to his community development portfolio, and we extend our deepest condolences to his wife, children, and his grandchildren, and his many friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Moving on, our next announcement is about the homeowner assistance pilot program with Action Housing. And I will turn it over to Chief Wassler.
Thank you, Chairman. The Homeowner Assistance Program, or commonly known as HAP, is made possible through the City of Pittsburgh's Housing Opportunity Fund. It provides up to $35,000 in financial assistance to eligible homeowners for rehabilitating and improving their homes. This year, the URA is opening the application round through a pilot with Pittsburgh nonprofit Action Housing that, like the URA, has extensive experience in administering home repair programs that service the region. Starting tomorrow, happy Valentine's Day, at 8 a.m., homeowners residing within the City of Pittsburgh boundaries can apply for the HAP program through Action Housing's website at their Home Allegheny online portal. The application will remain open for 1 month and will close on March 14th, 2025 at 4 p.m. A limited number of grants will be awarded, and we strongly encourage anyone interested in the program to review the program eligibility requirements and priority criteria, which can be found on Action Housing's website before applying. Information can be found at actionhousing.org, Our Services, and then Allegheny Home Repair Programs. You can also scan the QR code currently on the screen to get the program information and application. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next announcement is regarding Lexington Tech, and I'll turn it over to Chief Flink.
Can I use this one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, the public. Yeah, so this announcement is the URA will be issuing a request for qualifications for 1720, 72, 28, 79, 30 McPherson Boulevard, excuse me, which is the parcel, sort of effectively known as Lexington Technology Park. We plan to post the RFQ on February 24th, 2025, with submissions due on April 28th of 2025. Just a bit of context for the site. So this site is bordered generally by the busway, kind of, the top of the slide, the Rockwell Park site, former Rockwell International Building, and then North Homewood Avenue as the context for the site. It's about a 4.5 acre site. It's currently zoned urban industrial. It's largely effectively its current form of parking lot, a surface parking lot, and has been that way for some time. The goal of the RFQ will be to receive preliminary project concepts for the site that embody neighborhood development goals, including an emphasis on transit-oriented development. And just maybe a comment on what an RFQ is. We're looking for vision, qualifications to execute a complex real estate development project. So experience, capacity to raise capital, expertise to execute these types of projects will be critical. Certainly firms, real estate development firms with experience in a variety of development, housing, affordable housing, TOD, mixed-use development are certainly encouraged to apply. A committee will be formed in partnership with URA staff and other stakeholders to review and consider qualifications and potentially invite a particular respondent to the RFQ to submit a full redevelopment proposal, which of course would have to be reviewed and considered by the URA board at a future date. Again, we look forward to a robust response, and in the next week or so, we'll look forward to the RFQ being posted. So thank you.
Any questions, comments from board members? Okay. Moving on, our next announcement is regarding ARPA property stabilization, and I'll turn it over to Emily.
Hello, I am Emily Jaquay, an intern architect with the Quality Controls and Inspections at the URA. I am here speaking today for Corey DeRico and Leah Matthews. The Blight Remediation Initiative could not have been possible without the support and effort of my fellow staff members in QC&I Development Services, Legal, Real Estate, and the UR affiliate organizations, Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation and the Pittsburgh Land Bank. In March of 2024, the URA began awarding property stabilization contracts and demolition contracts for URA and PHDC-owned property. The effort was funded with a $3.5 million allocation of ARPA property stabilization funds. A total of 17 properties were identified for stabilization, 14 URA-owned and 3 PHDC-owned. The URA selected 4 URA properties for demolition. The stabilization work is included in Phase 1 of the Violence Reduction Through Blight Remediation Initiative, which is aimed at reducing blight, activating vacant parcels, creating safer walking routes to schools citywide. Phase 2 of the initiative includes the demolition of blighted and unsalvageable properties. The stabilized properties will go through URA affiliates for further rehabilitation and reactivation. This map shows the area where stabilization work is occurring. The URA has currently spent down 79% of the ARPA funds allocated, or $2.8 million. The following slides report on the completed work. 9 properties were identified for stabilization in the Hill District. To date, the URA has completed 5 properties. The work included repairing or replacing roofs, stabilizing structural elements, installing windows and doors, cleaning out buildings, installing new siding, repairing or replacing concrete, and removing graffiti. The project team allocated roughly $1.2 million. The next slide. Okay. The project team allocated roughly $1.2 million in ARPA stabilization funds to complete the scope of work for the Hill District, In Beltover, 3 properties were identified for stabilization. All 3 properties have been completed and are in the process of entering further rehabilitation by PHDC. The work completed included replacing roofs, stabilizing structural elements, installing windows and doors, cleaning out buildings, repairing brickwork, installing new siding, removing trees, and repairing or replacing concrete. Roughly $725,000 in ARPA stabilization funds were allocated to complete the work. One property was identified for stabilization in the Knoxville neighborhood. This work included stabilizing structural elements, repairing and replacing the roof, installing new windows and doors, repairing and replacing concrete, and cleaning out the buildings. $208,900 was allocated to complete this work. The project team identified 2 properties in the Larimer neighborhood to receive $245,000 in ARPA stabilization funds. Both properties have been completed. The work included replacing roofs, removing trees, installing new windows and doors, installing new siding, and replacing concrete and cleaning out the buildings. 4 URA-owned properties were identified for demolition with $326,000 allocated from the ARPA stabilization funds. To date, 3 of these demolitions have been completed. Thank you for your time. And again, I want to emphasize the effort that crossed departments to complete this work.
Thanks, Emily. Questions, comments from board members? Director Bell.
For the properties that have been stabilized, is the partnership with the land bank to put them in their inventory? Or did they identify the properties that could be stabilized?
I believe the partnership is to handle the sales through the land bank instead of the URA.
To Representative Powell's question, I think an important thing to highlight, initially these were funds that had been part of the land bank's, ARPA allocation, but given time constraints, and the ability to get them put to work, as we've seen here, through the authority a bit more quickly, is getting them ready, to be disposed of, right, and put to productive use more quickly. So it was never, though portrayed that way, as coming at the expense of the other. They were always meant to work in tandem. And I am blown away by the photos of the stabilization work and the way the properties look now. So kudos, Emily, to you and to your colleagues on this. Director Namani Stenger, I know in terms of the areas that we looked to focus on, those that were in extreme high need neighborhoods, those that were around schools, places that we knew could be susceptible to being used to help foster violence. I appreciate the thoughtful approach that you laid out and that the team took here, related to the properties that we're now going to see hopefully soon, back to productive use. So any other questions or comments? Cool. Thanks, Emily. Our next announcement is the downtown LRTA, and I'll turn it back to Chief Link.
Yeah, thanks again. Thanks, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Yeah, this is really sort of a reminder announcement. Last time we sat here, actually, we talked quite a bit about the large investment plan that was announced by the governor in partnership with local leadership, including our mayor and the Allegheny Conference, our county executive. We want to remind the public and our real estate development community of the downtown tax abatement program, which was really adopted kind of ahead of that and to help spur that investment plan. So just as a reminder, the 3 taxing body downtown LRTA program is a 10-year real estate tax abatement program that abates the increase in real estate taxes resulting from improvement to real estate development downtown Pittsburgh that deliver housing and/or permanent job creation. The county and the school district, their legislation caps an abatement of up to $250,000 per year for 10 years. The city of Pittsburgh adopted their own legislation, which provides essentially an uncapped abatement, again, subject to certain milestones as it relates to the delivery of housing and job creation. I think critical to this announcement, I was going to thank Lauren personally, she's not here, but Allegheny County really took a lead on creating a portal. So Allegheny County's abatement program and the Pittsburgh Public Schools abatement program can be applied for sort of singly through a single application through the portal. And also through the portal, the city of Pittsburgh also created a special application for the downtown LRTA, which can be found through this. You can see it on the slides here, but also through the portal, also on the URA's website to be able to apply. This is a reminder, the applications are received on a rolling basis. It's through January 1st, 2027. And of course, encourage folks considering investing downtown to be aware of the program, take a look at it. If they have questions, certainly reach out to us. And if and where applicable, should apply to take advantage to get their projects to the finish line. So that's that on the downtown Lerdo. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Link on that? Then we will move into our quarterly impact report for Q4 of 24, and John Bonello is joining us here.
Good afternoon. It's me again. My name is John Bonello. I'm a senior data and evaluation specialist in the Strategic Data and Impact Unit. And I'm back with another quarterly impact report for the fourth quarter of 2024. As you may know, SD&I spends the first 6 weeks of each quarter collecting and analyzing the outputs from the previous quarter to report our progress towards our strategic goals. On your screen are some highlights from the Q4 2024 URA Impact Report. 14 businesses connected to technical assistance through URA and its affiliates. 150 individuals were able to stay in their homes through either housing crisis prevention programs or housing-related legal assistance provided by the Housing Opportunity Fund. 14 individuals were assisted in achieving home ownership through the HOF Down Payment and Closing Cost Assistance Program. 578 units of affordable housing were created or preserved with assistance through our residential and consumer lending programs. 18 small business loans were closed between URA and its affiliates worth over $3.16 million. Roughly $629,000 were dispersed to businesses maintaining vacant lots and to support neighborhood projects. The full report is now live on the impact page of the website and shows more of the great work that was done by the URA in our fourth quarter. We encourage everyone who's interested in taking a closer look at some of these metrics to go to the impact section of the website listed under the About Us heading. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Questions, comments from board members? The housing numbers are astounding, like truly.
Yeah,
A bit speechless, so Sam, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna make a suggestion. I always really look forward to the quarterly impact report. I find it really, really helpful. And I particularly find this like graphic summary that we get here super helpful. And I would recommend including like this high level summary as part of the written report also. Because I do sometimes find it a little bit difficult to like get to the bottom line when like to like weed through all the very, very detailed numbers that are in here and get to the bottom line, which is like so clearly represented in this slide. Like I spent like 10 minutes trying to figure out how many units were represented on this page and I couldn't figure it out. And it's so clear and evident on this slide.
Math
So,
is hard.
yeah.
so, yeah.
I mean, you have to like, and this print is very small, so maybe that's my problem.
Sure. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can absolutely add that.
Yeah, John, I've always feel like when we see you, we just saw you, but and so I feel like I'm always saying the same thing. But you know, I do know it's not easy to gather all this information, you know, and work with folks to clean the data, et cetera, or do that yourself. So truly thank you for that. I truly, as I said, I'm a bit speechless on the 578 units from the last quarter. That's really amazing. I'm guessing both LIHTC place in service and ARPA deadlines had a lot to do to drive that, which it's deadlines spur action, so it's great. And you know, it's really, really phenomenal to always see it up there, but that one really stands out. Thank you for letting us see the collective kind of impact of it all, than just one project at a time. It's really appreciated. Thank you. Okay. Thanks, John. Our next announcement is for our executive director on some recent awards. So I'll turn it over to Chief Link.
Thank you again. Sheila, congratulations. Yeah, please join me in congratulating our colleague, our friend, our executive director, Sushila Namani Stanger, on being named to the Pittsburgh Business Times list of 100 most influential people in the city of Pittsburgh, as well as city and state PA, including you, Sushila, on there 2024 Power Diversity Women 100, which is the list that covered 100 of the most influential women leaders, across the Commonwealth. So I'll just say personally, I know you don't like this. I know you don't like this. So I credit you for sitting here listening, being congratulated. You always put our team ahead of you, any personal recognition, the work of the URA ahead, always first. But I'll say just, from my work with you, you always lead with a smile. You have unmatched depth of expertise and a commitment to excellence. I'm personally grateful to work with you. And I know the organization, the city, we're very fortunate, to say the least, to count you as our executive director. And, I can't think of anybody more deserving of these accolades. So congratulations, Sushila.
Thank
you. Well, that's good.
Yeah. I think Chief Link said it well, at the risk of further embarrassing our executive director, if anyone else has anything they'd like to add, because then we can skip the next one. So
My turn. Thanks, everyone. On behalf of the URA, I want to extend our congratulations to Chief Chintalapalli on his recent appointment as Chief of Staff for Mayor Gainey's office. We are all deeply appreciative of your people-focused approach to economic development and your unwavering commitment to our communities, your expertise in housing and development finance, and your desire to improve Pittsburgh has empowered bold action at the URA and the city. And we are very grateful for your consistent support and partnership. And today I'm even more thankful that you will be continuing as the URA Board Chair. So congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, I don't, similar to our executive director. I'm happy to move on, but thank you for taking a moment to acknowledge it.
I have to say something just to further
Okay.
Kyle, Chief. It has been fantastic, obviously, to have you on the board leading these efforts. You, as we've been saying, lead with humanity, you lead with a people-focused approach, and we are very grateful to have you as the Chief of Staff in the city, and obviously as our chair on the board as well. So thank you for all that you do. And I couldn't help but take a moment to continue to embarrass you. Couldn't miss out on that. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you, Representative Powell. Moving on, we're going into housing. Our first item on the agenda is in Beltuver for Louis Venson Senior Lofts. And Nicholas Person is joining us for this.
Thanks, Chief.
That's good.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicholas Person. I'm a lending analyst in the residential lending department, and I'm here in front of this board requesting authorization to enter into a rental gap program loan agreement with Cedarhurst Housing LLC or related entity in an amount of up to $2.64 million for the rehabilitation of the former Beltuver Elementary School in the Beltuver neighborhood, Ward 18 of the city of Pittsburgh. In tandem, we're also looking for authorization to waive rental gap program guidelines to exceed the maximum RGP loan amount of $2 million. And as a disposition item, we're also looking for authorization or approval of proposal and form of contract for the sale of the following block and lot numbers in the 18th Ward to Venson Lofts Housing LP or related entity for $1 plus costs. Next slide. As a bit of context to these authorizations, in January 2023, the original developer, Gatesburg Road Development, had received an award letter from PHFA with a reservation of 9% low-income housing tax credits to be used to rehabilitate the former school into affordable senior housing. However, due to issues of capacity, Gatesburg Road was not able to get this project to the finish line, and so at the end of 2024, Gatesburg Road met with Trek Development Group, which agreed to stand in as the new developer for the project. They, along with another local developer, Fulani Development Group, make up the borrower Cedarhurst Housing LLC. The total development cost for this project is roughly $25.6 million. To cover these costs, Trek has compiled a capital stack, which includes equity from RBC Community Investments in exchange for the low-income housing tax credits and historic tax credits, a permanent loan from PHFA, as well as DCRP and FAIR funds, an affordable housing program grant from FHLB, as well as Trek's own deferred developer fee. To fill the remainder of their financial gap, Trek submitted an RGP application to the URA requesting $2.64 million to be used to cover the hard and soft costs of these renovations. And what these funds will result in is essentially the creation of 39 new rental units for seniors, all of which will be affordable. And to further deepen their affordability, should the board approve this loan, we will also create a declaration of restrictive covenants securing the affordability for a period of 40 years. And lastly, in terms of the timeline, the project is expected to close in Q2 of this year, with construction completion estimated to be reached at Q4 of 2026. And that's it. Thank you all very much for listening. I would now like to use this as an opportunity to introduce Bill Gaddy, President and CEO of Trek Development, who I believe is with us online. And I believe we invited Jennifer Cashwade of the Beltsuver Consensus Group to also provide remarks, but I don't believe she was able to make it.
That's right. She has a prior commitment.
Thanks, Nicholas. This is Bill Gaddy. I'm sorry to hear Jennifer couldn't make it because the Beltsuver Consensus Group is really the passion behind this deal, behind this endeavor that's been going on for some years. We are at Trek, we're somewhat late to the table as a stand-in developer for Gatesburg Road, but certainly we're impressed with the work that had been done to date, and happy to jump in and get this across the finish line, as I'm confident it will have a big impact on the community. And it's truly an architectural gem that we're honored to be able to have a hand in preserving, as well as the affordability aspects. So this is a important step, important turnstile to get through. We're appreciative of the URA's support to date, and we look forward to getting this home in the next couple of months. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Nicholas. Questions, comments from board members? I'll just say a couple things. One, Bill, appreciate you and the team from Trek stepping in here with Gatesburg falling out. You said it, Nicholas touched on it, how important this project is for the Beltsuver community, how long Jennifer, and the team there have been working on this and really trying to drive this project forward. It's been stalled for a variety of reasons. So, knowing that you and your team are, willing to take the reins and stepping in here, and even more importantly, hearing the Q2 construction start because of how long it's taken, that's really, fantastic to hear. So, do truly appreciate that, and coming in, at a moment when it would have been easy to, not answer the call on that. So thank you. And Nicholas, thank you and your colleagues for continuing to work the project through all of the kind of changes that have happened to get us, here to this point. So, whoops. If there's no other questions or comments from board members, entertain a motion to approve.
So, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the homeowner assistance program amendments to the guidelines, and I will turn it over to Chief Wassler.
Thank you, Chief Chairman. Back again with the homeowner assistance program. Today, we are looking for authorization to approve guideline amendments for the program. So again, the Homeowner Assistance Program, or HAP, provides financial assistance to eligible homeowners within the city of Pittsburgh to rehabilitate their homes. This program is made possible through housing opportunity funds and provides up to $35,000 in financing. The funding provided through this program must be used to bring homes into compliance with City of Pittsburgh codes, undertake energy efficiency improvements, and to make eligible general property improvements, including roof repair, HVAC, plumbing updates, electrical systems, and more to enhance livability as well as the overall quality of life for the families in the homes. Eligible applicants must have a total household income at or below 80% of the area median income. They must own and reside at the property that is to be improved. They must prove that they have current homeowners insurance policy and that they do not owe any real estate back taxes or are on a payment plan. We presented the guideline amendments to the board as a presentation at the December board meeting. And after that presentation, opened a 30-day public comment period to allow the public to make comments on the changes that we were proposing. No comments were made from the public. So just to reiterate what those changes are that we are requesting, we are going to be changing the financing structure for the program. The current structure for the program is it is $35,000, but it is a combination of a $5,000 grant and a $30,000 zero interest 20-year deferred loan that is secured by a mortgage. The new proposal, the new structure that we are proposing is changing this to a $35,000 grant with a 10-year deed restriction. That deed restriction will require that if the property is sold within the 10-year period, it must be sold to an affordable buyer. An additional change that we're making is that applicants who have previously gone through the HAP program will not be eligible to reapply until 10 years have passed from the execution of the deed restriction for their project. We do feel like this program is helping the city of Pittsburgh meet a multifaceted need for affordable housing. We cannot only create new and preserve current affordable rental units. We also need to make sure that our families who are most vulnerable in the city can remain in their homes so that we do not need to find opportunities to rehouse them. And so we do feel like this program helps us meet that need, helps stabilize Pittsburgh's aging housing stock, and prevent displacement of long-term residents who have built their lives here. So with that, I will take any questions that anyone has.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from board members? Chief Lasser, I know we did a sort of training or review for some community partners, you know,
Yes.
and others. I guess, I know you said we didn't get any comments, but I guess I'm curious what feedback, you know, we heard from them, you know, for the changes here.
Mostly positive feedback. There were just a lot of questions about the partnership with Action Housing, mostly when we did meet with our community partners.
Okay.
And so we were able to help them understand that, you know, everything for this application is going through Action Housing. They're totally responsible for administration. And then in regards to the financing structure, everyone seemed to be, you know, they were fine with the change, wanting to know what the 10-year deed restriction would mean for the homeowners. And so we just made sure we helped them understand it's only a resale restriction. They would not have to pay the grant, a portion of the grant back.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments from board members? I know we saw this back in December, so
Motion to approve.
can we have a second? All those in favor?
All right.
Any opposed or abstentions? Then the motion carries. Thank you. Moving into the consent agenda. If there's any questions or comments from board members on the consent agenda. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve in its entirety.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Motion carries. And then disclosure agenda for the public's awareness as noted on the screen. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Second,
Second.
are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next month.